Welcome to the SPOCs Showcase, and thank you so much for being here. It is such a delight to see so many of you all in person, over Zoom, so many familiar faces, and I hope one day we can all be in the same room together. So, of course, we're going to start with a land acknowledgement. SPOCs acknowledges Indigenous people as the traditional stewards of this land and the enduring relationship that exists between them and their traditional territories. The land that we sit on is the traditional unceded territory of the Massachusetts and Wampanoag Nation. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced occupation of their territory, and we honor and respect the many diverse Indigenous peoples connected from time immemorial to this land, which we now gather on. We also acknowledge and uplift the solidarity between Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island and the Palestinian people in their struggles against violence, ethnic cleansing, and settler colonialism. They are a part of one global Indigenous struggle, and their movements for land back are intertwined, and it would be deeply remiss to conduct this showcase without mentioning that. And I will turn it over to Professor Haynes Miller now to get us started.
Thank you, Rin. And let me echo Rin's warm welcome to everyone who's here and the 70 or so people online who are not here for various reasons. Maybe we'll all be together someday. That's a wish. It's definitely a wish. So I thought I might. I want to point out the really amazing work that's been done by students in Gaza and in Cairo, displaced from Cairo, from Gaza into Cairo, that you see here, and I hope that you spend a long time looking at the various posters that have been produced here. But I thought I might, and it really illustrates this, what I like to call the radical hope that characterizes the Palestinian people. So this is the SPOCs for Gaza program. What is a SPOC? A SPOC is a small private online course to be distinguished from a MOOC, which is a massive open online course. These were produced by Open Learning for Us. Back in May 2024, I spoke with leaders of the Open Learning and suggested that they might do something for people in Gaza and displaced from Gaza in Cairo who were had been deprived of their university level education. Some 80,000 university students were not receiving the education that they deserved and that they were used to, and surely MIT can do something for them. And they actually suggested putting together a series of SPOC courses. I thought at the time this would be easy to run. These are packaged, self-contained courses that would run themselves pretty much. But something completely different and unexpected, to me anyway, emerged. Because of the amazing outpouring of interest and passion by students, mainly from MIT, but from many other places as well. They brought their love and their passion to create this program, which is much deeper than just an online education program. They set up TA pools to support the various different courses that we had, breaking down the rather cumbersome MITx material into pieces that could be used in very restricted bandwidth situations like you see in Gaza. They worked closely with Gaza students, often translating things into Arabic. They had TA sessions and mentoring sessions. And after a while, they got to know, these students here got to know their peers in Gaza and in Cairo very well. And they started to see that there were a lot of needs beyond the academic needs that this program was facing, and set up another program called MIT Mutual Aid, now called Zahrat Ahlam Mutual Aid for the National Flower of Palestine. So that's an existing organization. It takes donations to support people in need in Gaza. We also received amazing support from the university, from the American University in Cairo, thanks to outreach by Professor Ahmed Ghonaim here. They opened their new Cairo campus to our students. They provided classroom space with computers. They even provided TAs on site to work with our Cairo cohort of students. So that was the first run. We had about 60 students in Cairo maybe, and 30 or so in Gaza. And then in April, this same group of students, a larger now group, somehow found the energy to do it again. And beginning in April, we had a second run of the SPOCs for Gaza program. This time much larger. We had 300 students in Gaza and about 100 in Cairo and about 100 volunteers. This is an entirely volunteer organization. About 100 volunteers working on this program, not just here, but around the world, really. 30 different institutions represented by people working on this project. In the second run, we also had the contribution by Professor Ahlam Muhtaseb, who you may know as the creator of Phoenix of Gaza XR, an amazing virtual reality show about Gaza. She ran not one but two courses in real time. They were courses specifically designed for our students in Gaza and Cairo, and she was there helping them. And you'll see a lot of the work from the culture, the media and culture course that she ran here. She also ran a film studies course, which she has gathered amazing film clips that those students have made, and that will be shown at a later time. So, you know, these students were working in extremely difficult and dangerous conditions in Gaza. And I want to say, I want to spend a moment, you know, they were diligently studying economics and film studies under bombardment. It was dangerous, and I want to spend a moment remembering our student Ali Ahmed Sagaleh, who was killed by an Israeli airstrike on his way home with bread for his family in July 2025. I want to read an epitaph for him written by his sister. Ali was the blueprint of a great human, a man in his morals, a boy in his dreams, a leader despite his youth. He refused to be a victim. He refused to leave. He refused to be silent. So this event is completely in honor of the remarkable students and the work that they've done in Gaza. But I have to say that there's a tremendous community here that I want to acknowledge. The list is very long. I can read only a few of the names of the many, many people who've been involved in this program. The leadership of SPOCs for Gaza includes Rin, Hannah, Carmelo, Feda, Ahmed. Hello, Dartmouth. It's good to see you here today. Ahmed, hello, American University in Cairo. Thank you so much for your efforts there. Sophia, hello, University of Arizona. Isha, hello, University of Michigan. Henrietta, Wellesley. Omar, hello, University of Toronto. And most especially Ayat, who has held it all together for these 15 months. We will all agree to that. And looking back, I want to give a special note of thanks to Prahad and Mo, who grasped the possibility of a large-scale collective action on this project, making it all possible. Joe Martis and Dana Doyle of Open Learning provided help and guidance throughout. And we have to thank the Media Lab for opening this wonderful space for us and providing support. But really, this is about the work of our students in Gaza and Cairo. And I'll turn the mic over to Ayat, who can redirect us in that direction. Thank you.
Is this good? Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm Ayat Abudaya, and I direct this program not alone, but alongside the most wonderful team here. I want to talk about why programs like SPOCs exist and why we're gathered here. As you know, during the genocide in Gaza, there has been an active scholasticide campaign. So what does that mean? It means that there was a systematic destruction of an entire educational infrastructure. All universities were destroyed. Labs, classrooms, educational facilities, all of them were gone. Over 97% of schools were destroyed, and the ones that are still standing are used as shelters because people's homes were also destroyed. But let me tell you what this really means. If you know anyone from Gaza, you know that the education is their power. Gaza had once one of the highest literacy rates in the world. Gazans use education as a means to make their voices heard, especially as a result of the siege that hid their voices from us. They love to learn, they love to research, and they love to build. And now, students in Gaza face a devastating risk of illiteracy, not because they lack desire, but because the infrastructure to learn was deliberately annihilated. So for those of us outside Gaza, what is our responsibility? It is our duty to commit to educational reparations, especially when we frequent institutions that one way or another have helped in creating research that aided this genocide and scholasticide, especially when we attend universities that have long benefited from the erasure of indigenous peoples. And for those of us in academia, this moment demands we ask ourselves a critical question. How does pedagogy and learning transform when the student community is under bombardment? How do we reimagine learning infrastructures when everything we're used to has been destroyed? SPOCs is just one answer to this, but I want to be very clear about what SPOCs is not. We are not here to be charitable, and we are not here to be saviors. Our main goal is to center the voices of our Gazan students in every decision that we make, to ensure that they have the agency to set the path for rebuilding their own education. We do not provide to them, we learn from them. They teach us how to transform pedagogical approaches to be more inclusive, more accessible, and more resilient. And they learn from us using the materials that they have always been actively denied. This work is very sensitive, and it is very critical. We have witnessed as a team inconceivable things happening to our students. There were moments when we asked ourselves, what is the point of any of this? And this is why it takes a huge amount of faith. You must believe in the process, have faith in the students. We live with the students every moment under violence to understand how we can make their learning experience better, while also curating accessible materials and believing in their right to learn and their right to determine their own destiny. We have also gone beyond courses with college counseling support, virtual group therapy, English learning, and also hiring students as research assistants in projects through PAL Europe here at MIT. We also had students from our previous run become TAs in our second run, so that we can allow students the space to make sustainable learning experiences that best suit their communities, especially under the different forms of violence that they are experiencing. In our first run, we offered the MIT courses Intro to CS, Data Analysis for Social Scientists, Calc 1 and Calc 2 in Gaza, in addition to AUC for displaced Gazans. This is when we saw the gaps in online education for communities under bombardment. In our second run, we expanded. We included Intro to CS with Challenges of Global Poverty and Professor Ahlam Muhtasib's courses, Media Culture and Society and Film Studies. We also had a summer data science and machine learning program by IDSS. The students created projects, which you will see today, and you'll hear about their experiences, demonstrating their applications of what they learned within their own contexts. While running these courses, we reached out to academics. Students had discussions. Students wanted to share their ideas and experiences with academics here. But we were met with silence every time we pushed forth. Today in this showcase, we are asserting again, our students deserve to be seen, they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be listened to. Now, more than ever, especially as decisions are made on their behalf, as the voices of Gazan youth in determining their futures are actively refused, especially when it comes to reclaiming their right to learn. Education is a human right. And when we deny a student population that right simply because they are from Gaza, I want you to question your role as an academic. The work we do in SPOCs can be carried out to other contexts, to our communities in Sudan facing similar violence, to anywhere where education is under siege, where education is out of reach. This is why we ask you not just to support SPOCs, but to learn from SPOCs and to take those lessons elsewhere. As I mentioned earlier, SPOCs has been a collective learning experience for volunteers from around the world and the student community in Gaza. My dear friend Rin now will talk about mutual aid as a core value in SPOCs. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you all so much. I don't know how I can follow that up, but I'm going to try. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rin. I am one of the financial directors at SPOCs and also, relatedly, one of 4 U.S. team members at Zahrat Al-Hanoun Mutual Aid, or ZAMA for short. I have also the absolute privilege of working with 4 amazing ground partners in Gaza every day, some of whom are here, actually. Together, we are committed to providing survival needs such as food, water, tents, blankets, clothing, and medicine to our people in Gaza in a safe and dignified manner for everyone. Since SPOCs has started, I have gotten a lot of questions about ZAMA and how it relates to SPOCs. And first of all, let me just say to everyone here that they are separate groups. It's important to ZAMA that we take a holistic approach, which means that we are going to try to serve the most urgent cases first that are known to us or our loved ones, whether or not they be SPOCs students. 2 of our ground partners have no current or former student affiliation with SPOCs. But I will also say, on the other hand, certainly they are separate but intertwined groups. One of the big reasons why we started ZAMA was to support requests coming in from our SPOCs students during the winter of 2024, from our first cohort of students when the winter was truly unbearable. But let me backtrack a little bit before I get into the weeds of ZAMA. As with any mutual aid program, we are aiming to build community power, to build a world in which systemic inequalities in education are addressed, in which Gazans can build and access the educational liberation which is theirs rightfully. We are run by students, for students, and we all work together to create the structures which we need to keep the program going. For example, every single student is paired with a support person who is a resource for them for anything that falls out of the scope of teaching assistance. Often, student support people end up becoming their friends. When we started receiving countless requests for survival aid, we started working together with students and partners in Gaza to create a system of survival aid delivery. And 2 of our ZAMA ground partners today are, in fact, former SPOCs students. We connected students to one of our former students and ZAMA partners to help them troubleshoot their internet issues, which we in the US had no idea how to troubleshoot. We partnered with several internet cafes on the ground where students could go to co-work. Several students asked their support people for college support, so we created a virtual space to collectively help each other with applications. Through this process, we have connected so many students to each other, as well as other people in the West who are wanting to connect with people in Gaza. We're really not just a program, we are an ever-growing and ever-changing community. Honestly, this work, while, as Ayat alluded to, can be quite heavy, is the greatest honor of our lives. And I am inspired by the strength and hard work of every single student of ours every single day. And I particularly want to shout out, while we are on call here, our Zama ground team, without whom SPOCs would not be running in the same format that it is. Throughout this entire genocide, they have consistently strived to serve more and more of our students, to find better and better deals, creative solutions to products and medicines that are not in Gaza, searching for hard-to-find products for months on end, and delivering materials to students and community members in a dignified manner, in a safe manner, day in and day out. Truly, we could not do this program without you. You know who you are. I think the difference between mutual aid and charity is community. Every single person in SPOCs, whether in the West or in Gaza or in Cairo or elsewhere, can say that SPOCs has given them invaluable community. And that is why we are always and will always be committed to being mutual. Not only is this program a form of reparations from all of us, as we are all complicit in this genocide one way or another, but because mutual aid inherently challenges saviorist conceptions of humanitarianism. Mutual aid means that we are just human beings helping other human beings with what we can and what we have. It means that we do not expect so-called repayment other than a mutual commitment to humanity, and we forge and cherish meaningful friendships throughout the process. We hope to continue to stay partnered with so many amazing organizations, and through the collective wisdom of our Gazan partners, we are striving to build the educational experience that everyone deserves. I want to close with a message from our Zama ground partner, Dr. Haya, who is here in the chat, but could not record a video, unfortunately. Haya, I hope this does you justice. I'm Dr. Haya, a member of the Zama team from its founding. From the very beginning, we were never just a team. We became a family, connected by the same mission and the same heart. During the war, despite all the fear, difficulty, and chaos, we worked together to deliver meaningful and impactful support to our people. We reached areas that were hard to access, carrying the aid with our own hands because we understood how important it is for people to feel that someone truly stands with them. We secured medications that were completely unavailable, provided a high-quality advanced wheelchair to someone who needed it, and distributed tents, tarps, and shelter supplies to affected families. Every task left a mark on our hearts before it reached the hearts of the people we served. We have many success stories that we are deeply proud of, and each one strengthened our bond until our team became more than a team. It became a real family, connected by humanity and sincere works. And we continue our mission because what we offer is not just work, it is a piece of our hearts. Thank you. It is so important to us to support our students as people, as whole people, and not just academically. We have sales for Zama over there. We have all of our information here. And thank you all so much for being here. I'm now going to turn it over to our students who are going to introduce what SPOCs is in their own words. I don't think I need to say anything more.
My name is Jagad.
My name is Noor.
I am Salim.
My name is Lara Seiso.
My name is Shahid Nabil Ustaz.
My name is Amal Khudari.
My name is ولاء المحتسب.
أميرة كحيل عمري 19 سنة.
مرحبا أنا حلا.
My name is Jihad. I am 23 years old.
Hello, it's Muhammad Herzallah.
My name is Nada.
And this is Mariam Samarzana.
And this is Fatma Muhammad Izzat.
And we are satisfied.
My name is Lina Albarj.
My name is Maram Kalyouna.
My name is Ramadan Al.
This is Jana.
My name is Duqa.
I am Abdelbar Abuarda, 15 years old from Gaza.
My name is Jamal Aban.
And my name is Muhammad Karim Abulon.
Hello, greeting from Gaza. This is Miss Hanin Al-Halabi. I am a mother of 3 daughters in Gaza. Today is the 2nd year of war and genocide in Gaza.
When choosing what course to undertake from the SPOCs for Gaza program, I found challenges of global poverty. I got to learn major concepts and obstacles in economics, politics, and business sectors that we are still facing nowadays. When we were asked to do our final project on one of the topics that we learned from this course, I was spurred to do it with my teammate Samah, who is still in Gaza. We brainstormed our ideas and decided to do it on the educational sector because displacement disrupts education and students lose the rights of learning.
I took Introduction to Computer Science course. It was a very enjoyable experience for me. The course introduced me to the basics of programming and opened a new door for me in the world of technology.
Whenever I hear that someone's into coding, he's coding something, I'd be like scared. Like, all these numbers, all these logics, all these lines they be using, it's kind of scary. Like, how do they understand this? Like, how do they even think of it? How do they even write it? But thankfully, with the help of instructors and MIT program, they made it for us easier to understand.
I was part of the MIT program, specifically Introduction to Computer Science and Python language, in which I've learned not only Python language but also many other skills like problem solving, logical thinking, critical thinking, and teamwork.
تجربة SPOCs for Gaza كانت تجربة كتير مميزة مليانة بالفوائد وفي أشياء كتير حلوة. أنا بصراحة كنت منضمة لبرنامج بروجرامينج بايثون وصراحة كان كتير مفيد بالنسبة لإلي بتخصصي. أعطاني خبرة كتير حلوة في البايثون. الفريق كان فريق كتير.
The course was not limited just to improve my skills in programming, but in the final project I was able to improve my skills in presentations, in teamwork, and a lot of things as well.
I love to explore a new field and try different things by try different courses, and that's why I joined this course to try something new.
التحقت بالفوج الثاني لبرنامج سبوكس للبرمجة، حيث كانت تجربة فريدة ومميزة ورائعة، وانضممت مع فريق متنوع الخبرات واستطعت العمل مع أناس من مجالات متعددة. كانت تجربة مميزة ورائعة. أحب أن أشكر فريق سبوكس على هذه التجربة الفريدة والمميزة من نوعها.
كثير مفيد وتجربته يعني كانت مؤثرة ومفيدة لأنه علمنا كيف الكمبيوتر بيشتغل.
I have a strong passion in computer science and I hope to become a software engineer in the future. Taking the Introduction to Computer Science course with MIT at the AUC was my first step into computer science that I had been waiting for.
My experience with SPOCs was really amazing experience because I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before, and I gained a lot from this course, especially the skills of teamwork.
I was grateful to be given the opportunity to join the SPOCs community and take the CS course from my dream institute. Actually, MIT, it was my dream institute. This experience helped me regain confidence after losing so much of it.
I hope to study computer science at MIT, and after that I hope to make useful solutions that make the world better, especially for the students in conflict area where they face the same challenges I faced.
I hope that next year I will be a student at MIT, continuing my academic journey. Before joining this course, I do not have much experience in design. However, in a short period of time, I was able to learn the basic of UI UX design.
I was in the computer science course. Since the beginning of the course, the support team and the TAs were very supportive, and they attempted to help us with everything we needed. And they tried to provide us with a study environment. They provide us food supplies, free app hours, and their time.
Learning Python helped me work on my project with my teammates and also gave me the confidence to create my own project. I also met a friend who made this whole experience much better.
خلال الفترة الأخيرة حاولت أشتغل على نفسي كتير قدر الإمكان رغم كل الظروف اللي تواجهنا من انقطاع التيار الكهربائي، من عدم توفر إنترنت مستقر، وكل شيء حوالينا تقريبا يعتبر ضدنا. بدأت أتعلم لغة كوتلين وقدرت أعمل مشروع صغير اسمه configuration extract value from configuration file. يمكن بالنسبة لكم كتير بسيط، بس بالنسبة لي هو عبارة عن دليل إنه إحنا لسه قادرين حتى نتعلم ونبدع حتى بأصعب الأوقات.
I learned a lot about programming and how to solve our problems, and it's my pleasure to be part of this.
One of my subjects is computer science, which I decided to choose after actually finishing the introduction to computer science using Python course, which was more than a course for me. It opened so many new perspectives. It made me more passionate about technology, and it was my #1 motivation for actually choosing computer science as a subject.
As a Gazan student, it meant a lot to me because SPOCs did not only provide us with educational materials and resources, they also provided us with a motivational and supportive educational environment. They even provided us with some accommodations. For example, many students, including me, had some internet and power shortages. So SPOCs managed to provide us with some internet hub subscriptions, and that was incredibly helpful for me.
صراحة كانت تجربة كتير حلوة وكتير انبسطنا وتعرفنا على ناس كتير.
I was also happy to meet people who believe in the power of education.
I am genuinely grateful for this opportunity and appreciate the efforts SPOCs puts into supporting students in Gaza.
Right now, I am working as a content creator with Scene TV, Scene Palestine, showing the reality and raise the awareness about what's happening here in Gaza Strip during this conflict and during this genocide here in Gaza Strip.
Living and studying in Gaza has been full of challenges, and it has shaped me to be more stronger, more patient, and more determined. I want that world to know that young people in Gaza have great ambition and creativity and readiness to work. They just need the opportunity.
It reminded me how education can still alive even in the most hard times, and how learning connects people across boards. And I want to help create the next generation of intelligent systems that connect technology with human emotions, using science, creativity, and real purpose. Thank you for listening. Thank you for support. Thank you for everything. The program was incredible. This is a chance to me. Thank you for listening.
I hope this video can be the voice Palestinian one, and hope I can be one day my children or us when we can live in peace and in safety environment.
Free Palestine.
Well, is this on? Well, I hope, is this on? Well, I hope you can. Oh, yeah, we have to do this again.
No, it's this one.
There. Well, I hope you can see from that why I regard this SPOCs for Gaza project as the most fulfilling and rewarding thing that I've done in my entire academic career. And I thank this whole team for. It's also the thing that I feel most proud of MIT to be connected with. It's a real tribute to the amazing community that we have here at MIT.
So as Ayat mentioned earlier, we had 6 Students from SPOCs 1 go on to become TAs in, 5 students from SPOCs 1 go on to become TAs in our second cohort. And we're now going to hear directly from them.
I'm joining you today from Gaza, a place where challenges are part of our daily life. Last year, joining MIT SPOCs was a turning point for me. It wasn't just about learning programming or advanced academic topics. It was about discovering my own strength and realizing that even with electricity outages, unstable internet, and the pressure of living through uncertainty, I can still achieving something meaningful. I returned to the SPOCs program as a student TA, and that has been just amazing as I expected. I understand what students are going through, the technical problems, the distractions, and even the stress they feel. Living in Gaza taught me resilience, so I tried to be more than a TA. I motivated students, helping them to stay connected and remind them that they are not defined by circumstances, but they defined by the action they do.
I was really impressed by how resilient the students are. They showed a great hunger for learning. We as Gazans, we value learning very much, and I think it's part of how we are so resilient. And I was really amazed by the projects that the students have made in a very short time period.
My journey with SPOCs for Gaza began as a student. It was a great experience, and it was a great environment to be in course like that. Later, I became a teaching assistant, teaching the students the same course that I enrolled into first time.
شاركت معهم كمساعد في الكورسات اللي بعديها، وكنت على تواصل مستمر مع الطلاب، نقلت خبرتي وتجربتي إلهم. يعني بصراحة كان من أهم التجارب بحياتي، تعرفت فيها على كتير أشخاص، كنت على تواصل مع العالم الخارجي. طلاب وشباب غزة وبنات غزة كلهم عندهم أحلام، وإن شاء الله راح نوصل لها. بحب أحكي للعالم.
SPOCs really helped us grow, learn and reconnect, especially as Palestinians who's struggling in their lives and also in their studies. And at the end, I want to thank Ayat and Professor Hans for making it all happen. So thank you so much and bye-bye.
Is this the one that works? Is this the one that works? Okay. Of course, our brilliant student TAs did a wonderful job, especially the ones that are in AUC and the ones that are in Gaza. The ones that are in Gaza, even though they faced difficult conditions in terms of internet and electricity, but they were able to contribute to their community's learning experiences, which was instrumental. Now we're going to move on to a video of one of our students, and personally one of my dearest friends, Ragad Abdulrahim. She explains her journey in education and how SPOCs was important for students like her.
Hi everyone, it's Ragad. And if there is something that I've learned, it's that sometimes the right things find you exactly when you need them. Before the war, I was a freshman student at the Islamic University of Gaza. My major was Artificial Intelligence Engineering. Back then, I thought I know my path. I thought everything was clear. Then the war happened, and suddenly nothing made sense anymore. So when your life stops that fast, you start to question everything. So I took a moment and I asked myself, is this really what I want? Is this really the career that I want to work hard for? Then I paused, took a step back, and I started to explore, to take different courses. Not because I was confused, but because I wanted to understand myself better, and I wanted to know what truly my passion was and what career I want to build in the future. I tried data analytics courses at first and I really liked them. And then one day I heard about SPOCs. I registered out of curiosity and I checked the courses they offered. And when I saw the computer science and programming using Python 1, I said, why not? Maybe I will enjoy this one. So I joined it alongside the other courses I was already taking. And learning felt fun again, and a big part of that came from the teaching assistants. They were kind, patient, they were smart, they understood our situation without us even having to explain it. And they helped us without hesitation, and they made us feel like a family, and that changed everything. They checked on us and made sure we were okay, not only academically but emotionally too. They made us feel seen in a place where it's easy to feel invisible. And what makes this box truly special to me is that these teaching assistants came from different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries, yet they were all connected by one thing: their humanity, their genuine desire to give, to support, to show us that we're not alone in this. They made me realize that there are people in the world who still care about us, who believe we deserve opportunities, and who want us to grow. And that kind of care stays with you. It's actually one of the main reasons why I continued, taking the computer science first, then later the data science and machine learning. And again, I found community, I found real people, and made real friendship. People who didn't just teach me but stood with me. Through SPOCs, doors I never expected began to open. I joined the MIT Emerging Talent course, took more courses, built confidence, built skills, and piece by piece I started rebuilding myself again. And today, when someone asks me what I want to study and what I want to do with my life, I don't hesitate because I found my path. But this story isn't just about me. It's about what SPOCs actually does. SPOCs gives the students from Gaza something we don't always have access to: opportunity, guidance, community, people who care enough to show up consistently even from across the world, people who believe in our potential before we are able to see it ourselves. In SPOCs, you don't just take a course, you connect, you grow, you heal a little, and you remember that dreams are still allowed, even here and even now. This is why programs like SPOC matter. This is why they should continue and reach more students. Because giving a student from Gaza a chance isn't just education, it's hope, it's direction, and a way to imagine a future again. SPOCs became a beautiful and important door, an important part of my learning journey, and it will always stay that way. So thank you truly for creating something bigger than learning, for giving us community, and for reminding us that our stories still matter.
For context, Ragad took this video in a tent after being displaced and after her house was destroyed. And she had a scholarship and was unable to leave Gaza to be able to attend the university that she was accepted to. Now we will turn it over to Mohammed al-Najjar, one of our students and the first blind lawyer in Gaza. He will talk about his educational experience as a blind person and why educational justice matters in Gaza and how his experience with SPOCs was.
مرحبا للجميع. النجاح مش كلمة بنحكيها، والنهوض من تحت الركام مش شعارات بنكررها، والفرصة مش هي اللي تجينا، لا احنا اللي بنصنعها. اهلا فيكم، معاكم الكفيف محمد يوسف النجار من غزة. بصحبكم اليوم لأحكيكم عن تجربتي في دراسة القانون وكيف أنا قدرت أوصل رغم كل الصعوبات اللي تحدثنا في غزة وآخرها حرب الإبادة الجماعية. بداية أنا الكفيف محمد يوسف النجار، أول محامي كفيف في قطاع غزة درس القانون. القانون مش مجرد مهنة ولا مجرد تخصص أو علم، لا، القانون هو فكرة انزرعت مني أنا وزرعتها في مجتمعي لأكسر الفكرة النمطية لأكثر للعالم إنه الطالب الكفيف أو الشخص ذوي الإعاقة البصرية مش مقتصر على تخصصات محددة، بل لازم يتحدى الجميع لحتى يحصل على كل حقوقه. بداية كانت رحلتي مليئة بالصعوبات، من فكر المجتمع لتحديات التنقل للدراسة لجائحة كورونا لكل شيء. حصلت في 2018 في شهادة توجيهي على 95%. كنت من أوائل مدينة رفح في هذاك الوقت. التحقت بجامعتي الجامعة الإسلامية في غزة تخصص القانون. التحديات اللي شفتها كبيرة وكثيرة، أهمها انتقادات المجتمع. رغم هيك أصريت وتفوقت، جبت المركز الأول على كليتي، تخرجت في عام 2023 بمعدل 95.7. بعد هيك وقبل ما تيجي حرب الإبادة الجماعية على قطاع غزة في 7 أكتوبر كنت محامي تحت التمرين، وأول محامي زي ما حكيت كفيف. ما كانتش رحلتي سهلة، اشتغلت في مكتب محاماة، كنت بمسك أصعب القضايا، كنت بتنقل بكل حرية رغم العقبات، رغم كثير من العقبات اللي كانت أمامي. طبعا في إطار رحلتي الجامعية كنت أول مراسل كفيف، أول صحفي كفيف في قطاع غزة أيضا. بمتلك كثير من المهارات اللي أهلتني لأكون محامي، كثير من المهارات اللي أهلتني لحتى إنه مكتب محامي معروف في غزة يستقبلني كمتمرد. اجت حرب الاباده الجماعيه اللي سرقت احلامنا، سرقت طموحات، لكن فاحنا من ابناء غزه، من الشعب الفلسطيني، بنسترجع هذه الاحلام، بل بنصنع احلام جديده فوق الاحلام اللي انسرقت. لهيك التحقت في برنامج الماجستير قانون عام في الجامعه الاسلاميه بعد ما فقدت مدينتي، فقدت بيتي، فقدت مكتبتي، فقدت كل الادوات المساعده، الا انه قدرت اتخطى واخلص الماجستير برضه كمان الاول على دفعتي وبمعدل امتياز مع مرتبه الشرف. اليوم انا في اطار بحثي عن منحه دكتوراه لحتى اكمل طموحي واوصل للعالم فكره، رغم اني كفيف الا انه انا بقدر اصل، رغم انه كل العالم ضدنا الا انه احنا بنصل. ابناء غزه هم هيك صراحه. انا مش منغلق على فكره القانون بس، لا، انا بحب اتوسع في افكاري، بحب اتوسع في مداركي. لهيك التحقت في برنامج الاعلام والميديا MITX، و اكيد كانوا في مساعدتي لحتى اني اوصل فكرتي، لحتى انه اتجاوز هذا المساق بنجاح. الحرب زي ما قلت اخذت منا كل شيء، الحرب دمرت احلامنا، دمرت حياتنا كلها، لكن من تحت الركام بنصنع الاحلام من جديد. اكيد كانت الدراسه اونلاين، لكن العقبات ذللتها بمساعدتي اللي حواليا وبمساعده من عائلتي واصدقائي. كثير ذللوا لي هذه العقبات لحتى اوصل لهدفي. ما بنسى فريق الTAs من دكتوره، يعني اكيد بوجه لها كل الشكر والتقدير لبروفيسور احلام المحتسب، وفريقها المساعد طبعا دارين وكريم وبرلد، وكثير من الاشخاص اللي ساعدونا لحتى نوصل فكره. مشاهد هذا الفيديو، شكرا لكل حدا اضطر انه يسمعني، شكرا لكل حدا سمع هذا الفيديو، تحياتي لكم.
Thank you all so much for listening. That was really amazing. So now that you've met our students, we're going to talk a little bit about what they've made. And before we get into the project and start showing them, we're going to have head TAs talk a little bit about each of their projects and the context in which the students are making what they're making. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Alia, head TA of Global Poverty.
Thank you, Ren. So my name is Alia Hussein. If you don't know me, I actually graduated from MIT in May of 2025. I was not on campus, actually. I was abroad. And as Ren said, I was the head TA of the Challenges of Global Poverty course, which I feel like, every course, all of academia is political, but this one is almost very explicitly so. What is poverty? What counts? What does not count? And also, this course, to me, was this very extended exercise in sort of addressing some of the contradictions that exist within academia. The first, of course, being that, what business do we, meaning myself and the rest of my TA team, have as relatively privileged people sitting in positions of comfort lecturing about global poverty to a population that is under a genocidal siege and war. And I guess more importantly, of course, is, why do our students want to take this course? What are they getting out of this? And those are the two questions that I'll open this course with. And the other thing I'll open this course with is that very quickly, this field of international development that led into this course, it became very clear that this course, by its design, was not really ever intended for our students. And I'll show you why. So, we start off the course, and a few weeks in, I get some reports from students that they're having issues with a survey for week 4 as part of the problem set. And, I asked why, what's the issue with the survey? It looks fine technically. And then, I go to it and I scroll down. I omitted the very long list of countries. I see that the reason why students cannot answer the question of their country of birth is that Palestine, which is their country of origin, their country of birth, their nationality, is not listed as an option. And yet other contested nationalities, I'll just put it that way, such as Taiwan, for example, Israel, for another example, were on there. So clearly it's not about, perfect consensus across the entire globe. There's certain people who will contest, basically the existence of any country. And I had to go in and add Palestine as an option. And so the question becomes, this is a very clear example that this course was never politically neutral. That the institution that created this course was not politically neutral. And they showed that by this very simple omission in a survey about, their students, intended to gather more information to better serve their students, ironically. And so that's one contradiction, one small contradiction. Another one that sort of touched at the very crux of the issue of teaching global poverty to a population under siege and genocide came up in the same week, actually, during our lecture on famine and malnutrition. And so right here you see actually one of the lecture slides that we created from the original MITx material, and the heading of it reads, "While severe famine is history, malnutrition is not." And, we translated this into Arabic to our students who were on the Zoom call with us. And, basically as soon as we all read the slide and heard the words, we realized that this was put very badly, to put it very lightly. Because our students are facing literal starvation. A bag of flour in Gaza over the course of, it's some simple economics of Gaza right here. Over the course of our course, from April to, I would say, let's say September, over the run of SPOCs, a bag of flour in Gaza was regularly above $1,000. Regularly above $1,000. This just shows the extent of the starvation, and also shows, what our students, the point that, this slide was very inelegantly trying to make, and also that our students much more eloquently put, that in our current environment, where we have food surpluses, if we look at production levels, we have surpluses of food in the global supply system. And so famine in any region is a policy choice. It is not, the course of nature. You cannot blame it on blight. You cannot blame it on disease, on weather, whatever. It is a policy choice. And in Gaza, there is famine because the policy choice is starvation, is genocide, is occupation. And that was the lesson that our students gave to us, that our students, edited this particular element that says that, oh, famine is history. It's not history because the policy choices that make famine are still ongoing. Another point that this brings up, and I want to connect this back to a point that Rin brought up about mutual aid, is to consider the context in which our students are learning. Again, our students are facing literal starvation. They are facing bombardment. And, this slide is doubly ironic in that, if it's small, but it says that the goal is to address it implies that the goal is to address the 720 to 811 million people in the world who are facing malnutrition. And, what can we say when we as a team, try to lecture about possible strategies to address, hundreds of millions of people's malnutrition when we cannot feed 400 students because a bag of flour is $1,000 on average in Gaza, and we do not have anywhere near the amounts of resources, amount of supporters to feed even our students. When the students have to wait months and months to get flour, what does that mean? And that to me just shows that we have to consider student support holistically, especially for students in Gaza and other areas of conflict and genocide. That, it's not just pure academics. Academics are never, in a vacuum. They are always in context. And that, again, is why I want to affirm the importance of mutual aid and why it is actually a very essential part of SPOCs. We've put a lot of focus on the academics, rightfully, but also the material aspects of it cannot be understated. And so this is week 4. We move on in the course, and we get closer to the final project. And for my course, what I ask students to do is to apply, any of the course concepts of their choice to any situation of their choice, whether in their local community or in the rest of the world, because this is a course on global poverty after all. And of course, and I think this hints at why students are drawn to this course. A lot of students chose, very rightfully so, very understandably so, to focus on Gaza. And so they asked me for resources, for papers they could read on Gaza, trying to understand Gaza in the context of international development. And what is very striking is that Gaza introduces a whole new term, which is the term of de-development. So going backwards intentionally instead of forwards, quote unquote, forwards and backwards. And here I put some quotes from respected NGOs and the big parts of the UN system that have assessed the situation in Gaza over the course of its occupation. And actually, you see, first quote I chose is from UNRWA from 2002, so before October 7th, 2023. And it says, it reflects on 15 years of blockade. So the blockade in Gaza started in 2007. And it says that Gaza has experienced, quote, momentous de-development, severely impacting daily normal life for all residents and restricting their basic human rights. So this is before the latest phase of the genocide. And then looking forward in October 2024, so around the time that the first SPOCs launched, the UNDP and also the regional UN agency for surveying economic development within the Arab world said that the Human Development Index of Gaza is projected to drop to 0.48, erasing over 20 years of progress. And this was a projection done over a year ago. Like, just imagine how much worse the destruction has likely been since then. And also strikingly, that if you look at that, we focus on Gaza, again, justifiably so, rightfully so. But if you also look across the entire state of Palestine, you consider the West Bank as well. Like, I believe that the estimate for this one was 13 to 16 years of quote-unquote progress being undone by the attacks on the West Bank. So I just want to put that there as well. And of course, poverty in the state of Palestine entirely is projected to rise to 74.3% of the population in 2024. Again, 2024, a year ago from now. So again, all of this shows, that Gaza is treated as this quote-unquote aberration of de-development rather than international development. And so, the question becomes, what do we do about this? We as people sitting in privileged places in academic institutions like MIT, some of whom make our careers and livings off of quote-unquote international development. And I want to sort of reframe and recenter this question because it's not really about us, it's about our students. We sit here, many of us vacillate backward and forward about, whether or not we can do a certain, action related to Palestine because, it might impact our academic careers. It might, win us enemies and lose us allies, whatever. But our students, they don't have any hesitation. They are ready to be in action. Here I'm showing just a selection of the project titles that I received as part of the course. Again, all about, applying course concepts to a situation of their choice, which was, of course, their local community. And you see that students have a range of different ideas. Some are talking about empowering small businesses and freelancers, community health access, and a very ingenious time bank idea that one of my students proposed. Actually, not even as part of the final project. She brought it up on her own very organically. And so the question really is, are we ready to support our students? Like, are we ready to focus on the students of Gaza and actually listen to their voices? And so I want to end with a call to action. So 3 things that I think we can do to support the students in Gaza and to support Gaza more broadly. The first, of course, is to center students' voices. So, you'll see all the projects over there in the summarized in the posters, but also on the slides. So please connect with our students and coordinate ways to support their ideas and allow them to take the lead because they're ready to take the lead and it's their place to take the lead. And also a call to the academics and policymakers to focus, to center Gaza and Palestine, to actually focus on Gaza and Palestine, and and acknowledge the actual forces that make it a case of so-called de-developments within development economics and other fields adjacent to it. And also for those who interested in designing future education programs, to consider that you have to provide both academic and material support, that learning never happens in a vacuum. That, you cannot learn well when you're under starvation and bombardment. And if all you do is try to, teach about, I don't know, demand curves and don't consider that the way that the supply and demand curve in Palestine is impacted by genocidal entity, like that you're sort of ignoring the crux of the whole issue. And so, finally, I also want to give acknowledgments to those who have made this course possible, our course TAs, including Dana Al-Sarraj, who did a fantastic job. You heard from her earlier. She coordinated basically the entire Cairo side of it after AUC, had some mix-ups right there. And of course, our students who are the guiding force in the center behind all our work. And if you're on the call here with me, thank you so much for all your work and for your continued enthusiasm and strength of force. And of course, thank you all in the audience for listening.
Thank you so much to Alia. So we have 2 more courses and then 1 little speech. And we are next going to turn it over to Ahmed Majid, who was our computer science coordinator in Cairo.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ahmed Majid. I'm currently working as a senior teaching lab engineer and research associate at the AUC. And for the past year, I have been blessed and honored to serve as the Cairo coordinator and head TA for SPOCs for Gaza, Intro to Computer Programming using Python course. Slide, please. So it all started for us on October of 2024 when I received a nomination by the School of Science and Engineering to teach the Python course to 24 displaced students from Gaza here in Cairo. The AUC offered the students full access to both of our campuses 24/7, including the library, laptops on campuses for students who did not have them, and access to buses that go to stops all over Cairo. At first, it was supposed to be a fully online course. Then we changed the format so that the students were invited to the AUC campus and the US-based TAs from MITx would explain the topics. And then I would stay with them for an hour, helping them with the exercises. Slide, please. Finally, we reached the working format that really worked for all of us, where I explained the topics and then we started solving the exercises together. And that is when the real magic started to happen. We started forming bonds, eating together, sharing stories of fun memories and lost loved ones. And in the end, we became a family. We even celebrated their graduation from the program almost 4 months later, after meeting twice per week, where we had them over at my apartment. We had some Egyptian dishes and the game night. That was it for the first cohort. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. We had many difficulties, including the language barrier, which we had to work around. And many of the students didn't have laptops and had to write code on paper at first. That was even more of a problem to the students that were in Gaza because in Cairo, the AUC offered us labs and PCs with internet access for the students. And that was not sadly the case in Gaza, where many of them wrote the code on paper. However, that did not defeat the resilient spirits. We fought back against hate with education and against darkness with perseverance and hope that through knowledge we will find the light. Slide, please. Then by August of 2025, we started our second cohort, this time more organized. We had 37 students, and 2 of our students from the first cohort even joined us as TAs. And with the same as the previous cohort, the AUC offered the same benefits to our students. And with the help of the TAs here, Karam and Osama, we got more ambitious and even decided to include final projects, which are showcased in this very event. To do that, we had to expand the courses and add several selected topics like GUI and machine learning. We encouraged the students to do their own research, and let's just say we will leave the judgment to you. Slide, please. Sadly, while things were going great here at the Cairo side at this time, we had an even bigger family. Things in Gaza were not that great. Many of the students didn't have reliable internet access. Most of them had no access to computers and had to write code on paper and use their phones for the course material. So it amazes us that even through all of that, a great chunk of the students graduated. Slide, please. So finally, thank you all for attending. I really want to thank everyone, SPOCs for Gaza, especially Professor Haynes and my friend Ayat. You're a champ, Ayat. And last but not least, my dear TAs, whom without I wouldn't have been able to do this, Osama and Karam. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I'm really proud of both of you. I hope you have a lovely morning and see you all at the third cohort soon. Free Palestine.
Thank you. And now we finally have Media, Culture, and Society by Professor Ahlan Muhtaseb, as presented by Prahlad, who is the head TA. He sadly could not be here today, but we have a video of him.
Hi all, my name is Prahlad. I was the head TA for the Media, Culture, and Society course in SPOCs. So a bit about the course. This course is based on a course from of the same name, Media, Culture, and Society. And it's taught within the Media Studies curriculum at California State University of San Bernardino by Professor Ahlan Muhtaseb. She was part of our course. She actually taught two courses in SPOCs. One was this course, and then the next was the film studies course. The course explores the role of media and other mass communication in political, economic, and sociocultural life. We discussed key theories in media studies, and we applied them to practical communication processes. We look at the evolution of media scholarship from mass society to convergence culture. So we examine this evolution and examine some scholarly articles in that context. And in addition, there's usually a special focus in this class, since Professor Ahlan Muhtaseb is also Palestinian. This class usually has a focus on critical, post-colonial, and decolonial theories of media and mass communications, and in this course we focused a lot on Palestine as well. So it was a great pleasure to teach this course. I had a wonderful team of TAs who helped teach the course directly. The way it was taught was asynchronously. Professor Muhtaseb had recorded some videos and posted them online, and so the students were able to watch those videos. They would come to the class lectures every Saturday. During class, we would one of the TAs would go over the lecture videos, and so they would come up with another presentation that would sort of revise and summarize the concepts and present it to the class, and then we would engage in a sort of discussion amongst the entire class. So the class is very discussion based. The idea of it was to get students to analyze and to practice media analysis on a variety of media objects. I think the students learned a lot, and we had a lot of really good feedback from the students. There were some challenges, of course. So because the course was asynchronous, we had to sort of bake in this, or it was built to be asynchronous, so we had to bake in this idea of synchronity to provide that for the students. So that's where the Saturday lectures came in. Internet connectivity was an issue, as it was an issue for all of SPOCs, and so since a lot of the content was asynchronous, like it was videos that the students had to watch online, making sure that they had access to the internet hubs regularly was a challenge that the student support team and the steering committee of SPOCs helped facilitate very well. I suppose another challenge for this course in particular, to try to make it a little bit more engaging, we wanted to create midterm presentations. So the assignments for this course were basically quizzes. Those were automatically graded. We created Google Forms for that. Then there were discussion boards. So these were discussions that occurred on WhatsApp. We adapted it so that we could do it in WhatsApp channels, and the students would discuss amongst themselves based on prompts that were analyzing specific types of media or performing specific types of media analysis. And then we had a final exam and a final essay. But then we also wanted to add a midterm project. And the idea of this was to try to bring together some of the students and have them be a little bit collaborative and do something a little bit fun. And it was challenging because, the students are split between Gaza, Cairo, and even elsewhere in the world. Many of the students have variable internet connection, variable access to technology, and even communication was a very big challenge. So we are definitely indebted to Karim and Ayub, and I hope you either will or have already heard from them. Karim and Ayub were RTAs based in Gaza. They are, they're fantastic. They facilitated this part of the course. In particular, they facilitated the formation of the groups, the coordination between them to make sure that the students were able to form their groups and actually be in communication to do the projects. They helped a lot with translation, so they translated a lot of what the students were asking. They translated a lot of the instructions about the group presentations. And so definitely without them, this aspect of the course would not have taken off at all, and a lot of the students really enjoyed this collaborative aspect. So if you want to check out the midterm projects, we have a poster dedicated to the midterm projects. There are 8 of them that were submitted for the showcase. These projects are most of them are actually video recordings of presentations, and so you'd be able to hear from the students themselves in their own words what they did for their projects and their various media analyses. So I hope you enjoy checking out a lot of their projects, a lot of the posters from the media course, and thank you for being here.
Yay. Thank you, Prahlad. Is this one working or is it? Nope, it's this one. Beautiful. And now, speak of Ahlam herself. Before we break for lunch, we're just going to have a short speech from Ahlam about the duty of academics right now during this genocide.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for hosting this beautiful event with the students and everyone. And I would like to start by saying that I'm joining you all from the indigenous, unceded, colonized lands of the Komiai First Nation. It's just such a great honor to be hearing from the best teachers in history, our students in Gaza. Our students' creativity, intelligence, resilience, patience, critical thinking skills, survival skills, to name a few, were the most important aspect of the teaching process that we engaged in over 6 months through the SPOCs program, which I'm very grateful to have been part of. My classes started as an educational endeavor, but in no time, I realized that they were way more important than this. Their most important role became to break the siege, breaking the physical siege through Zama's work on the ground and SPOCs program in general, which I'm so proud to have played a tiny, tiny part in. But most importantly, for me, it was breaking the mental and psychological siege imposed on our people and their forced isolation. It was crushing and tormenting experience, but I decided not to be selfish and say, I can't do this. I couldn't just turn off when it was inconvenient for me to continue. Then I realized this was one of the most fulfilling, meaningful, and giving experiences of my life as an academician. As Professor Miller actually said earlier, I totally agree with him. I wasn't just giving charity from the comfort of my stability and wellness. It was messages like, I'm going to read this message in Arabic and I don't want to translate it, and I hope I'm not going to cry in the process. Saeed, when he said, أنت سبب صمودنا, ربي يحفظك ويبارك في عمرك يا رب, تاج راسي أنت دكتورة. That message made all the difference in the world for me to know that probably, maybe, for a tiny bit, I felt I did something to ease the pain of my students. The connection with my students when I shared with Bisan, for example, my book chapter about visiting my father in prison when I was a child, after seeing her amazing, heart-wrenching short film about her imprisoned father, she wrote to me in Arabic, يا الله قديش حقيقي كل موقف بمر فيه بتخيل فيه اللحظة هاي وأنا بالطريق لأي مكان دايما لازم أتخيل سيناريوهات لخروجه. فكرت إنه إشي غريب فما توقعت أبدا أقرأه. This was her response to reading the bit about the scenarios I used to imagine and plan in my head for the moment my father would be released from prison and how I would embrace him. We both bonded over our shared experiences. Sometimes I felt like a therapist talking to students for hours and hours, and I've wondered many times if I was doing damage instead of helping. But then I receive a message like this one your class is the only way I can think of Gaza before the genocide. So I think that, you know, I would think about this and analyze my impact later. I can't stop. This is how I used to think. All the conversations were therapeutic for me too. I just realized that. Also, my amazing TAs and their role, you know, and just having those moments with them, especially my lead TAs. You just listen to Prahlad, was just amazing, who literally took on teaching the media culture and society by himself. He was so creative. He was so sensitive to the cultural differences in the materials I provided. I didn't do much actually in that class. I'm getting a lot of credit that I don't deserve. I only provided my materials and my support, but it was really him and his TAs, the TAs he mentioned, the amazing TAs who continued the work relentlessly, preparing materials and going on and on. And Alex in my film class, who worked with me hand in hand 6 months, you know, on a weekly basis, never complained or failed me at all. I would ask for things like, can you organize this? Can you help me with that? And he was always there. Both lead TAs, Prahlad and Alex, paid a hefty price for their dedication to social justice and for speaking out against the genocide. So don't forget that too. And also my amazing TAs in the film class, in particular Nida, Shayma and Rahma, who continued with me throughout the 6 months. While there were other, you know, TAs who helped, but they did not stay with us. Nida, Shayma, and Rahma helped me with translation, discussing, finding materials, grading, and Shayma in particular, you know, for inviting filmmakers that I didn't have connection to. I think that the most enjoyable part of our film class was our conversations with the filmmakers, who I'm also grateful for, because they didn't only gift us their films for free, but they gifted us their time. Some of them stayed with us for the 3 hours, because we used to meet weekly for 3 hours, and those filmmakers would stay with us for 3 hours, like Muhammad Bakri, for example, but there were many of them who stayed for 3 hours and was just having this meaningful conversations with our students who loved that meeting. And a lot of them, you know, provided engagements with students even outside of the class. I could go on and on in talking about this. I don't want to forget to thank Professor Miller and our wonderful, amazing, I'm going to call her director of SPOCs. This is Ayat. Ayat, thank you so much. You kept everything going. You held everyone together. And just to let you know I'm supposed to delivering like this talk about the duty of academics, but I don't have to make it like a formal speech. I could speak from the heart and tell you there is nothing in this whole world that made me so proud as an academician as being in daily touch, in daily conversations with our students in Gaza, in supporting them, in helping them, and just listen to their amazing creativity and see their films come together at the end, short films, while going under the most brutal genocide. There were days when I couldn't even grab a cup of water and drink in front of them because I was so ashamed of having the ability to drink water, clean water. So at least, I felt like for a tiny bit, I provided a space that made it a little bit safer than other spaces for the students to gather and to, although we couldn't have all students on camera or, on Zoom or on Google Meets, but at least, we knew they were watching the recorded meetings and providing us with feedback. So thank you for the students in Gaza, my students. I'm so proud of you. And there's one person I need to write a letter of recommendation. If you are listening to me, I'm working on it. And thank you for the TAs. Thank you for the SPOCs, all the people, also all the invisible labor behind the scenes. And have a wonderful day, guys. I'm so proud of everyone here.
Wow. Thank you, Professor Ahlam. And I think every single person on this box team can say that her words echo so deeply with us. This program has changed us and moved us and touched us and honored us in so many different ways. And we are not the same people that we are right now, but it is for the better. We are now going to take a poster viewing break, and I really encourage everyone to just look around and see all of the amazing, brilliant ideas and posters and projects that our students have made. We also have lunch over there. The lunch is free. The chai is $5. Proceeds support Zama. It is fresh. And there's also other stuff you can buy for Zama. And please take this time as well to ask us questions if you would like to, if you're attending in person. For virtual attendees, I turn it over to Safiya and Isha. Thank you. And we'll see you back in half an hour.
Hi, so for the virtual people, we have slides of all the posters, so we'll sort of be talking through those. But yeah, also, hi, I'm Isha. I'm part of the steering team. I'm currently at a wedding in Alabama, which is why I'm dressed like this. But yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. Okay. First, are any of the people from if you are on this call and want to talk about your poster, please let me know. But I can like sort of make attempts at talking through the global poverty posters. So this is a project on educational initiatives in displacement context by Lara Beseso and Sama Aboui Shaiba. So kind of like we've heard a lot today about education under displacement. And so the intervention that these students were looking at is looking at psychosocial support and community resilience for educational interventions, looking at the case of Gaza. So the things that they sort of recommend are training volunteer teachers through local youth, organizing psychosocial support through like just locally organized ones by children and parents, strengthening community resilience and integrating fun with learning. You see they have an action plan here for the preparation, training, and actual implementation of this program. They provide analysis methods to sort of get a sense of how effective these might be through attendance lists, educational outcomes and benchmarks, and then on the qualitative side, behavioral observations and parent and child interviews. They sort of examine the effects of these looking at personal experiences in Rafah, getting it like and they were able to show that children were able to get a sense of normalcy through these kinds of programs. And if you want to talk to these students, please connect with them. Their emails, LinkedIn's are on this poster. So the next is by Mohammed, Rawan, Rania, and Ali. Looking at empowering local small businesses and freelancers to confront war-driven poverty. So they looked at a 3-pillar recovery model. So financial support using emergency grants, soft loans, and financial literacy, infrastructure rehabilitation through temporary workspaces, equipment replacement, solar power, and then training and capacity building using workshops on these skills. Their action plan involves conducting needs assessments and community surveys, delivering these financial packages, rebuilding affordable workspaces, providing training, and integrating all of these interventions. And their plan analysis methods were to perform baseline and final surveys, using KPIs to track revenue, skills, and workspace usage, doing field visits and interviews, and then doing impact measurement aligned with indicators of recovery. Yeah, and their contact information is at the top of this poster here. So this is kind of going back to Alia's point about poverty being a policy decision. This is looking at aid obstruction in Gaza. So the interventions that they look at are humanitarian corridors, international pressure, transparency and monitoring, and local partnership. Yeah, this is a, I think, quote by Reem, which is aid obstruction in Gaza represents engineered poverty and deliberate famine. Dehumanizing rhetoric makes this obstruction appear acceptable to the international community. Aid should save lives, not be used as a weapon. Ending aid obstruction is essential to ending poverty in Gaza, and the international community must act now. They have a presentation. If you want to watch it, she'll definitely explain this in more detail than I am able to. And please contact Reem if you have any questions.
Hi, it's Prahlad again from the Media, Culture, and Society course.
Okay, Prahlad will talk about his course now.
Hi, it's Prahlad again from the Media, Culture, and Society course. I'm here to present some of the posters from our students. So for this poster, what content are you going to be seeing? The posters can carry one of three different types of content. The first was the final essay that was submitted. So the students submitted a final media analysis essay going in depth into a particular type of media. And so these essays have been turned into posters. The second is the midterm project. So I mentioned the midterm project that we facilitated from Karim and Ayub especially. These midterm projects are in the form of videos. We've provided one poster at the end, which has a bunch of QR codes for you to scan through and look at. The videos range from 5 to 20 minutes. And these are group projects from the students. And the final poster or the final poster type is the discussion boards. So these are the assignments that were submitted on WhatsApp. We've turned some of them into posters as well. So without further ado, I'd like to take you through some of those posters and present some of this. The first step, we have a poster from Rifat Abu Jami. This poster is comparing two different types of media bias analyses in the age of data. So the first is a media bias analysis internally conducted by the BBC in 2003. It was responding to criticism from the Israeli government of anti-Semitism in its reporting. And so they conducted an internal investigation on its reporting on Palestine. The report was never released, but there are reports about it. And Rifat analyzes and compares this type of accountability measure or this kind of internal media bias report with the independent report from the Center for Media Monitoring in the UK, the Media Bias in Gaza 2023-2024 report. And he shows that the context in which the two were conducted, the types of analysis they were doing, the voices that they focused on, show or result in a very strong difference in account. Hi, it's bottom right to look at Rifat's full analysis of this topic. The next analysis comes from Ala Balusha. This is her project on her final essay on PBS's documentary, A Year of War, Israelis and Palestinians. This documentary purports to be a fair and balanced view of the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, in which they humanize both sides. Allah shows that in doing so, and in their sort of approach to this, via three different categories: representation, framing, and political economy, in which the documentary is situated, the documentary actually reinforces colonial narratives and propaganda. In particular, she analyzes for example, representation of individuals on the Israeli side with collectives, so nameless, anonymous collectives of Palestinians waiting in rubble, and shows that analysis or that sort of framing dehumanizes and devalues the individual Palestinian perspective. She also shows that the editing, the actual shot-by-shot editing in the documentary, produces a causality of which suggests that Palestinians are responsible for the initial aggression, when in reality the opposite is true. And then finally, she analyzes the political economy and looks at the funding and the audience constraints of PBS as a media source. I would highly recommend, again, looking at the full essay in the top right corner in the QR code. Next up, we have an analysis from Rawan Al-Shibi of the Black Panther franchise. And this one is a nuanced analysis. So Rawan shows that although there are elements of the Black Panther franchise that challenge colonial stereotypes in terms of the Afrofuturism, the portrayal of Wakanda as a technologically advanced power, which is challenging to the sort of traditional colonialist view of Africa, it also perpetuates a lot of colonial stereotypes, including male-dominated patriarchy, including the logic of Hollywood capitalism, the sort of technocratic aspect, as well as mineral extraction and wealth extraction from Africa. So this analysis is quite nuanced. I would highly recommend, again, scanning the QR code in the top left here to view Rawan's full essay and analysis. Next up, we have an analysis from Haneen Alisawi of this article from Health Policy Watch entitled, "Around 100 Gazans died this year of starvation as of 29th July, WHO confirms." Haneen has analyzed this article, which in principle should be reporting the realities on the ground in Gaza, but in reality has actually perpetuated again this colonial power structure or power relation by robbing the people of Gaza of their agency by ignoring the colonial context in which this starvation is produced, and by again focusing on international authority and ignoring Palestinian voices who are speaking about their own suffering and their own desires and their own calls to action. So Haneen has provided her QR code in the bottom right. You can view the full essay. She's also provided a QR code for her poetry. She has a zine out describing her poetry. So this is a QR code that links to that zine. You can read it for free at the QR code at the top. So highly recommend scanning both QR codes and checking out Haneen's work. Next up, we have, this is actually our first discussion board from Ragad Abu Al-Saba. Ragad submitted this discussion board in response to a discussion board about video games. And so she analyzed this video game, first-person shooter video game called Resident Evil Biohazard, which is one of her favorite video games. Ragad's submission is also unique because she submitted a video and she actually takes us through the gameplay. So in the QR code in the bottom right, I highly recommend scanning that QR code and checking out her video analysis of Resident Evil Biohazard. So although this is one of her favorite games, Ragad also acknowledges and analyzes the colonial biases and the traditional stereotypes employed by the game, including suggesting that white men are super strong and unstoppable. So she analyzes the various aspects of patriarchy portrayed through the game, in which a white man, the main character, is saving this woman who actually knows more about the situation than he does, but somehow he's the one who has to save her instead of the other way around. And then, of course, the lack of representation of other characters of color, whereas everyone in the game is actually just a white person. So again, highly recommend checking out her full analysis in the video. Our next poster comes from Reem Abu Razak. Reem has done an analysis deconstructing the both sidesism or the both sides myth, which is a colonial bias in reporting on Palestine and the occupation in Western mainstream media. She analyzes a couple different sources, so the CNN, the BBC, and New York Times, and shows how they all perpetuate both sidesism or perpetuate colonial bias via both sidesism. She shows this through the fact that they use they equate sources. So, for example, they use the Israeli government as sources often as a legitimate source, and they use Palestinian poets and Palestinian residents as sources without for example, taking official statements from the Palestinian government or the government in Gaza as legitimate sources. And I want to pull out this one quote from Reem. She writes, "The both sides are presented, but one side is represented by the full force of state authority and its powerful allies, while the other is represented by a nameless victim, creating a profound and misleading imbalance." So if you want to read Reem's full analysis, you can read it at the QR code in the top right. Next up, we have an analysis from Haneen Al-Halabi of Men in the Sun, which is a famous short story by Ghassan Kanafani. Haneen analyzed through the story the Palestinian condition under the curse of colonialism, in particular through the themes of colonial displacement and exile, colonialism and the economy, and colonialism and silence. And so she shows that these themes are abundant throughout the story. She analyzes these themes and she shows how the story is really an allegory for the Palestinian condition. Haneen has also provided her Instagram for you to follow, Haneen_Nabil_ on Instagram, as well as a QR code introducing her condition and her daughters, her 3 daughters, who are who are with her, and so she wanted people to meet them and to understand her as a human as well. So I highly recommend scanning the QR code in the bottom right to understand Haneen's story. Next up, we have an analysis from Butena Jabbar. This is a comparison of radio versus TikTok in the old and new media eras. Butena compares radio, which is an old traditional media, with TikTok, which is a modern media, and looks at their effects on society, in particular from the perspective of colonialism versus the colonial rule. So the colonized versus the colonial subjects. She shows that radio is actually a tool that's been used for the creation of a national identity, whereas TikTok emphasizes, for example, individual identity and might undermine the creation of a national identity, but might create other collective categories that may be useful for liberation struggles. She analyzes the radio's use during the times of the Algerian and Vietnamese struggle for independence, and then also looks at TikTok and its knowledge sharing and widespread influence during the genocide in Gaza. So highly recommend checking out this poster for her analysis. Finally, I don't have time to go through all of these, but these are the QR codes for the midterm project. If you scan these QR codes, you'll be taken to videos where the students completed their group projects and analyzed a variety of different media objects, compared two different media objects, one traditional, one new. Some examples of the types of topics. I mean, these are really cool topics: radio and TV versus social media, their impact on the family, signal communication and secret communication used for resistance as well as used for colonial tools. Other subjects such as artificial intelligence in education, in warfare, in chatbots, propaganda, algorithms, and of course, images and news shared on TV versus Instagram. So highly recommend that you check out these QR codes. You can scan them and then view the videos there. Thank you.
Okay, before I go to the next presentations, I know there are a couple people who are here. We're trying to figure out if we'll be able to give speaking access, but we haven't been able to figure that out yet. But just to keep you guys updated. But please if you guys see people in the chat who are presenting their projects and have questions, please feel free to message them or drop things in the chat as well. So I'll go through some of the computer science projects as well. So this one is by Nada, Jihad, Najat, Walid, Noor, and Ragad about citizen aid management. So this is this theme comes back for several of the CS projects about trying to fight inefficiencies in how aid is distributed. Some of the problems highlighted in this project is duplicated records, lost information, and difficulty identifying which cases are most urgent. So they wanted to create a Python-based system that manages the full cycle of citizen aid services. So this allows, there's two main users: citizens who can register, update their own information, and check their aid history, and then admins who can prioritize cases, add aid records, and communicate with citizens. The goal being to create an organized, fair, and transparent aid management workflow. So they used a Tay-Kinter interface for the front end of this project, and then a Python backend for the logic handling. They used Excel sheets to store data, and package it all using an executable runtime file. So some of the design priorities were making it simple to use for both citizens and admin. Being able to automatically rank citizens based on need, you can kind of see in this, on the citizen side, citizens can put in different information about themselves that the system can then use to assign priority to different cases. Their next steps and future goals for this project is to add a mobile app, potentially integrate AI for smarter priority recommendation, linking with the national ID system, and providing API access for NGOs and organizations. If you want to learn more about this project, Nada's contact information is at the bottom. So the next is a smart to-do list app. So this is to help people with staying organized throughout the day. And the goal was to create a lightweight desktop task manager. Their goals was to create a functional desktop task manager with a clean UI to practice UI UX fundamentals in Python, and implement persistent storage without a database. And so this project was sort of focused kind of on the UI side of things and like making an app that is motivating for people to use. So they use like a warm beige color palette and round shaped corners, and like try to add smooth animations just to make it as easy to use as possible. And for the next steps, they want to be able to allow users to sort tasks by date or priority, add different theme customizations, and like a login and cloud sync. So if you want to hear more about this, please feel free to connect with Lena, who's a software development student at IUG, and Mohammed, who's a med student at Al Azhar. Their contact information is also here. So this is another to-do list project. This one's by Wala, Kareem, and Ramadan. So this one is sort of a similar project or like problem case, where they want to create an app that helps people manage whatever tasks they need to do. Their implementation, they focused on task management and task movement. So dividing tasks into to do, doing, and done, and being able to sort of efficiently move tasks between those categories, and also implementing a priority system. They use Tkinter for the UI, and they use priority indicators to sort of differentiate between different kinds of tasks. Their next steps, they want to implement a file or database storage system, so that there's continuity across different sessions. They want to add task reminders and some UI enhancements and extended functionality. I think they have a system demo that you can watch, which is the QR code at the top. And then their contact information is at the bottom. So feel free to connect with them as well. The next one, this is also looking at the issue of camp management. This one is by Mohammed, Ragad, Lama, Zain, Hala, and Huda. And so they're also looking at creating a centralized, reliable, and efficient system for camp management, for aid and support distribution. So they used the Flask framework for their backend, which is like a Python framework for web dev. They use HTML and CSS for the front end. They implemented an SQLite database and used Git and GitHub for version control, and even GitHub Action AQ for CI/CD, which even in my ACS projects we didn't do continuous deployment stuff. So this is super impressive. Yeah, so you kind of they have a markup of their prototype here. And like kind of the way the interface would work is it would have all the camp residents. The users operating this would have the ability to add incoming people, and delete people who might leave. And the focus of this one as compared to the other management system is sort of just being able to like parse this information, search through the people who are in the camp based off of different demographics, and then show charts and graphs of these things. Yeah, so and all of their emails are at the bottom right if you want to connect with them. This project is on Palestinian agricultural produce and market information system, by Aya, Hala, who made the poster, Ahmad, Haya, Mahmoud, and Noor. So this is looking at the supply chain for farmers in Gaza. So basically the goal is to connect farmers with markets as directly as possible and get around sort of these long supply chain issues, which honestly maybe we should license for the US as well. But they wanted to develop a digital platform to bridge this information gap, so it allows farmers to put in their crops, quantities, locations, and pricing, traders to see what available products there are, update market prices, and then all users to explore interactive maps and data visualizations based off of this information. Their implementation plan, the front end, they were planning to use the React framework or Next to JS. For the back end, they wanted to use the Django REST framework. They were going to implement a database for data storage in PostgreSQL or Redis. And they were looking at additional features like maps using geo and JSON files and being able to send notifications. So for their next steps, this would include conducting a local market study and interviews with farmers and merchants, writing detailed requirements based off of these user stories for their system, and implementing it using this implementation plan. Yeah, so please feel free to connect with Hala to learn more about this project. So this project is a book recommendation system using machine learning. This was done by Mara, Yasmin, Basil, and Mohammed. So the goal is to personalize search recommendations for books. So they planned on using they implemented this project, and their GitHub and project report are both at the bottom of this poster. So they use the Brook Crossing dataset and implemented collaborative filtering in order to provide users with personalized book suggestions. Yeah, so they use Python and the Surprise library and for collaborative filtering. And they use the cosine similarity and KNN algorithms, which are pretty foundational for a lot of other machine learning applications. And so their next steps is to deploy this model that they developed using a web interface and to add content-based filtering for hybrid recommendation. And yeah, I mean, you can look at their code, and they have a pretty detailed project report if you want to learn more about this project. And if you want to connect with Mara, her contact information is in the bottom left. This one is a really creative project. This one's called Thought Bubble. This was done by Majd, Ragad, Anas, Salah, and Mohammed. And their GitHub, I think, is also linked at the top. So this is about mental health access and providing access to different CBT techniques and resources to people who might not have access to them regularly. Yeah, as I mentioned, traditional CBT requires professional guidance, which can be expensive and time-consuming and sort of hard to find, especially in the context of Gaza. And so they gamified CBT concepts in order to have this accessible way to learn different topics in CBT. Yeah, so basically the game helps by sort of identifying negative thought processes and like teaching players techniques for mitigating those kinds of things. So they created a fully functional desktop application using PyQt and a mobile app using Kiwi, and also a single file web application. They're using Firebase integration for all platforms and have user authentication and authorization. They have a question database that has all of these like questions related to CBT. And there's also like a personal journal that users can use in a scoring system. Going forward, they want to look at using AI-powered thought pattern recognition, community features, and peer support, and integration with mental health professionals. Yeah, so if you're interested in this project, please look at their GitHub, and also you can connect with the students here. Okay, this is the last AI one. This is another aid distribution project. Yeah, so this is sort of mitigating issues that come with manual recording of aid tracking, which can lead to errors, delays, and missing data. So their project is to have this system that can register families in needs, track family members, and like different data that might be relevant for aid distribution, sort families by urgency, and be able to track if aid has been delivered. So here are some demo screens of what this platform would look like. And they kind of talk a little bit about the core components of their implementation here. And they have a demonstration video that you can watch at this QR code as well. And again, this one was Adnan, Mahmoud, Maha, and Sama, and their contact information is at the top of the poster. Yeah, so next, Sophia will talk about some of the personal projects that our students.
Cool. Yeah, thank you very much. I will go a little bit fast just so that we can stick to time. But if I go too fast, we can always loop back around. And yeah, 1:15. So I'll try to go a little bit fast. If one of your projects are one of the ones that I talk about, definitely say hello in the chat. Basically, in addition to the 4 classes that we had a lot of students who had their own personal projects outside of the course. So whether this was university projects, school projects, or even just, casual projects that they were doing on the side, or projects related to their own work or careers. And we wanted just to give the opportunity for students to present those as well. So the first poster that we have up here is with Khalid. Khalid is an English language and literature graduate in Gaza, and he is also a freelance journalist and writer. And his personal project is a zine called Echoes of Survival that he created in collaboration with an organization called Coastal Press. And this zine really focuses on many personal stories about him, articles. It emphasizes the resistance and resilience of the Palestinian people. And it also reflects Khalid's interest and motivation towards storytelling. And so you can scan the QR code at the very top to hear him recite one of the articles from this zine. And if you're interested in purchasing the zine and supporting him, you can also scan the QR code at the bottom to purchase the zine from Coastal Press. Next slide. Next slide. All right. Next project that we have is from Seja. It's a computer science related project, which is focused on the early detection of Parkinson's disease using voice and handwriting analysis. Seja was actually part of not one of the 4 primary courses, but we had a number of students who were able to participate in a data science and machine learning program, and she successfully completed that program. And her project is really focused on the intersections of health and machine learning. And so this project aims at using her skills as an AI engineer to support health outcomes in Gaza, namely with early detection of Parkinson's disease. Very interesting project. You can check out her Kaggle by scanning the QR code at the top, and also you can see her contact information at the bottom. Next slide. Next, we have Lena. Lena also had a project poster under the CS category in a group project. And then she also has another personal project. And this is a similar one that's focused on the intersections of health and computer science. This project is focused more on healthcare administration. And so she created a clinic appointment scheduler using Java that would help doctors, healthcare workers, and patients organize information, keep track of patient histories, keep track of appointments, and other important information. And you can scan the QR code at the top of her poster to view her video presentation. Next up, we have Vergad, and she created a sales analytics dashboard using Power BI. Vergad is really interested in creating solutions and decisions that are data-driven, and so that this project really highlights that. And so she created this interactive dashboard that you can navigate that has all of these different visuals, maps, graphs that are created based on a really robust set of data. And it provides you with analysis on different sales metrics like revenue, profit, and that sort of thing. And you can connect with Ragad at the contact information below. Next up, we have a really interesting project. So this is Fatima, and she is a content creator, storyteller, filmmaker, and she created a short film along with her partner Mariam called The Phoenix of Palestine. And this short film basically reimagines the Palestinian Phoenix legend through the lens of a young boy and his grandmother living in a refugee camp. And it's a very interesting and very creative video. I highly recommend people scan the QR code to watch it in full. And next slide. Next up, we have Neda, and she had a data mining focused project. So she was looking at analyzing mobile phone prices. This project used a lot of different new skills, such as scraping the web for the data that she was using and mining that data, as well as drawing analysis from this, very raw real world data and learning how to clean it, parse through messy data, and draw good conclusions from it. So you can scan the QR code at the top to watch her presentation as well. Next up, we have a personal project from Majd. So Majd is working on a project to create a news website, especially focused on presenting breaking news from oppressed communities and from marginalized perspectives. His project is very motivated by his own personal experiences as a young person in Gaza and all of the challenges that he has faced, both in this program and, for the last 2+ years. And he really wanted to have a large focus on the news as a way to educate people outside of Gaza globally to have their voices be heard and also to compel people to assist in efforts in Gaza. Next slide. Then we have another really interesting project called Peace Ear Glasses. So this is actually a project based on a startup that one of our students, Wala, is part of. And this is basically an assistive tech project. So Peace is this innovative startup building human-centered wearables for people with disabilities. And the Peace Ear Glasses are basically a sight for sound device that has small microphones, and it can detect the audio coming into the microphones and is able to then display captions onto the lenses of the glasses to allow people with hearing impairments to communicate better. So very interesting project. You can check out the system demo at the top. You can also check out their link tree for more information about Peace as a startup in general. Next slide. Next up, we have a personal project by Kareem and Abdulbari Abuwarda, and theirs is focused on credit card fraud detection using machine learning. So they used a machine learning model called Random Forest to basically detect and differentiate between valid transactions and fraudulent transactions to support fraud detection within credit card use, which is a very difficult, which is a very relevant problem that affects a lot of people globally. Next slide. Then we have a project from Mohammed. So Mohammed is a student in our program with a lot of extensive experience in humanitarian work, in field work, in development work. And so his project is focused on a proposal for academic empowerment and intervention for students in Gaza, especially focused on supporting academic exchanges between students in Gaza and global networks to help promote continued education, as well as contribute to the rebuilding of the local educational infrastructure in Gaza. So yeah, definitely check that out and contact him if you have interest in that. Next slide. Then we have another personal project, another CS one by Abdulrahman, and it is a student management system. So he created a project that universities or schools could use to better organize their student information and have sort of a dedicated page providing student demographic information, phone number, address, that sort of thing. In this project, he also incorporated things like input validation and error handling just to make it a more seamless user experience overall. Next slide. And last but not least, we have Mara. So Mara is another great student in our program, and she is also an amazing artist. And so her personal project is really focused on the visual art that she has been creating, which she has especially been getting into over the course of the last year. So definitely connect with Mara if you have interest in that. And that brings us to the end of the personal projects. That was very fast. Apologies for that. Wanted to make sure that we kept time to the folks that we have in person, but we'll hopefully have all of these posters displayed somewhere online for people to actually go back through and take a good look at them.
So first, I would like to show you a video made by my colleague, Hannah. Hannah worked as a part of the college counseling team after becoming a student support team member. And yeah, I'll direct it to Hannah.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I want to tell you about a really cool initiative that has grown out of SPOCs, and also a great way that you can get involved. So I started as a student support volunteer. One of the really cool things about being a student support volunteer is that you really make connections and become friends with the students. Get to hear about not just their academics, but also their hobbies, their families, their dreams. So one student that I connected with back in May shared a dream with me of going to an international university to get his master's degree, to be able to continue his education, get the career that he wanted, and to do it somewhere safe where he could focus on his studies. So he asked me for help with the applications. I said, of course, I'm happy to help. And it turned out that there was another volunteer in SPOCs who also had 2 students interested in international master's degrees. So we all got together so that we weren't duplicating each other's work. And fast forward now to December, and we have about 75 students who are applying to international master's degrees, and about 150 students applying to international bachelor's degrees. So you've heard from our students, you've seen some of their work. It will not surprise you at all to know that they're doing a phenomenal job of the huge amount of work and the grind that it takes to apply to scholarships and to universities, especially in really difficult conditions and while they're focusing on their other schoolwork as well. In order to support them in this effort, it really takes a village, and we would love to have you on board. There's all kinds of different things to do, so no matter what your expertise is or how much time you have to contribute, there's something that will help. Anything from doing research about scholarships, helping our students proofread their CVs and their personal statements, just managing data and timelines, making sure we stay on top of it, any little thing. So if you're interested in helping us help our students to continue their education on a global scale, please let us know.
Okay. Hannah's an incredible person, leading such a huge effort with hundreds and hundreds of students and messages and requests each day. And college counseling for students in Gaza is definitely one of the most difficult jobs to ever do because of their certificates being lost or their inability to get a visa. So right now, we have finished SPOCs 2. It was supposed to end in August, but we ended up finishing in October because of the situation worsening every single day and us being considerate of the students and their time to evacuate and be displaced from one place to another. Right now, we are planning to launch SPOCs 3, but this time we are calling for support, calling for action. SPOCs 2 was massive. Like, there were more than 400 students, both in Gaza and displaced in Cairo. And managing this as students, volunteering every single day, sometimes losing hours of sleep just to be able to meet the urgent needs of the students, was certainly difficult and sometimes not sustainable for the students, especially when they do need support from us. Therefore, we decided to launch SPOCs 3 only once we're sure that we do have the support that we need. Once we're sure that academics can be more involved in this. We tried so many times to reach out to people, asking them to support, but definitely it was very difficult to plug people in. But now we're asking you, if you're interested, please do. We want volunteers for TAs, student support members, college counseling. We also, if you're an academic who has expertise doing research with students, or you want to offer course materials or be teaching course materials, please also contact us. And especially and most importantly, fundraising. If you have ideas around fundraising, have connections, want to help us out with that, please definitely also do that, like scan this code. SPOCs too, we run on personal donations, literally our stipends, just to be able to support our students. But if you are well connected, this is your time to plug in and support us, and so that we can expand and support more students. Now for our partners. Another project that we're running is the Risala School for Displaced Children in Cairo. As you all know, as a result of displacement to Cairo, and also the children in Gaza, a lot of them are facing a huge risk of illiteracy. Many of them have missed 2 years of schooling, so they can't even write, they can't speak, they can't listen, and they can't also speak in English. So as a result, we have started running the Risala School in Cairo, which engages Palestinian women educators who have over 10 years of experience teaching in Gaza. These women, their husbands are still back home, and they are responsible for their households, and they have lost their teaching jobs as a result of displacement. So they are the leaders of this incredible program. If you want to learn more about it, there is a chat link that describes everything, and we also have an Instagram account where the activities of the students are always documented. These are some of the drawings of the students, as you can see here. A lot of them were in response to prompts like, what do you want to be in the future? Or how do you imagine the future Gaza? Or draw your loved ones. And a lot of them drew their martyred parents, celebrating their next birthday with them. And, an airport of Gaza, because Gaza has basically no airport, and even their destroyed houses, they have imagined them in their drawings. The teachers engage in a lot of art-based therapy, hands-on pedagogy, and kinesthetic learning, instead of just, traditional learning activities. And the students have seen an increase in their performance, in their literacy, and also in their well-being. Okay, now we move on to another of our partners. This is Siraj, a team on the ground in Gaza, doing internal organizing there among the students so that their voices are unified and that we coordinate with them here outside of Gaza.
Hello everyone, my name is Nagam, and today we're honored to join you as a Siraj initiative in connection with the SPOCs for Gaza. Today, we come together around a shared belief that education in Gaza is not about right, but about the form of resilience and the foundation for building their future despite the immense challenges. Siraj, supporting international rights for academic journeys, is a student-led initiative based in Gaza Strip that works to protect students' right to education, highlight the challenges they face, and transform these challenges into practical opportunities. Siraj focuses on ensuring that every student has a voice, engaging institutions and building meaningful partnership to support students, and working towards solutions to improve the learning environment in Gaza Strip. At Siraj, we see our students as an active participant in their learning journeys, with the ability to grow, adapt, and build their future, even in the hard conditions.
Hi everyone, I am Abdullah Saleh from Siraj, and I'm here today to explain in detail what Nagam said exactly. Siraj, or Supporting International Rights for Academic Journeys, seeks to create a more just, supportive, and accessible educational environment, even under condition of war, siege, and resource limitations. Our mission is to empower students, support their academic journeys, and help them continue learning despite all obstacles. For us, education is the foundation of resilience, dignity, and hope for the future. Because all of this, we decide to take a very important step and make a partnership with SPOCs for Gaza. I know it's new, it's just beginning, but it's built on a deeply shared vision. We are united by one sure goal: to defend the right to education, support students in building their futures despite extraordinary challenges, and shed light on the realities and difficulties they face every single day. Though this new collaboration, we aim to a lot of things: create supportive virtual learning opportunities, amplify students' voice and experiences, and work together on initiatives that meaningfully serve students in Gaza.
So today, we invite all of you to join us in this collective effort by standing with our students from Gaza Strip, supporting educational initiatives, and contributing for building sustainable and fair learning environments.
Yay, Siraj! And I just want to go on a little 2-second tangent. We are partnered with other communities that have been systemically denied the right to education, or other grassroots collectives serving other communities that have been systemically denied the right to education. You guys saw some of the knitwear we were selling for Zama. That was made by a group called the Kranti Collective, which also seeks to empower education in folks from the anti-caste and oppressed caste backgrounds in South Asia. They could not be here today, but we love them very much. And this all to say, if you guys have an idea that you want to take and implement in your own community that is also being besieged and denied the right to education, please come talk to us. We would love our model to grow, and we would love to support and collaborate in any way whatsoever. This is a team effort for collective liberation. Finally, our fourth and final class, which we did not present on for good reason, was a film class. And the reason we're not presenting on it is because we're actually going to do a whole film screening. Time and date right now are TBD. Things are in the works. We're trying to get a venue, etc. But please, please, please early RSVP to see 10 of the most amazing, heart-shattering, touching films you will ever see in your life. I promise it is worth it. Every single one of them is absolutely brilliant, and it's gonna make your winter. So I'll leave this up for a moment. Please early RSVP. And that's all we have for you today, formally in presentation form. So thank you all so much for coming here, for sitting here for 3 hours, for experiencing this with us. And special thank you to everyone on Zoom especially, who came in despite of internet issues. We really appreciate your presence here, and this event would not be the same without you. And we have allotted more time for poster viewing now. So please keep having the chai, please keep having the food, please keep looking at the posters, and please keep finding the exec team scattered around here to ask us questions about how to plug in. And please grab a leaflet on your way out. Thank you so much.